it got to that point. Like, I'm sorry, shit got too far. Like, your Steven Crowders, your Dave Rubins, your Tim Pools, your Michael Tracy's, all these people have been pushing all this fear-mongering over and over and over. And yes, it rose to a part where the whole thing was accelerated by the President of the United States, galvanizing them, telling them, hey, everyone, the election was stolen. It was stolen. Your democracy is stolen. You got to take it back right now. Today's the day. Everyone, January 6th, storm the Capitol. Let's do this. Let's take it back. So I haven't played this yet, but I'm going to be playing AOC's story. I guess before I start this, there's going to be a content warning, of course. She's going to be talking about sexual assaults. It's a survivor story. I'm not going to be playing it in its entirety. It's an hour and a half long. If you want to watch it, it's available both on AOC's channel as well as Instagram. It's unusual. This story came out yesterday. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I'm going to watch some of it now for the first time. The only thing that I got to see was the incredibly strange collection and backlash of stuff that came out on the internets, specifically on twitter.com. It seemed to be a race. Everyone was out of the gates at who could have the worst take on this. Just whether or not you agree or disagree, whether or not you like or don't enjoy AOC, whether or not you think AOC is a sellout and part of this quote-unquote fraud squad, when someone is giving their survivor story or explaining it, especially for the first time, that's usually an opportunity for everyone else to listen, not to say, all right, now I'm going to take that and twist it into whatever strange political narrative I think best suits this moment. But anyways, let's take a quick listen.
Hey, everyone. How's it going? Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hi, everyone. Happy snow day.
Just going to skip past the intros, the Instagram intros.
So that takes us to about 1:01 p.m. And I go back to scrolling through lunch options for what we're going to order when all of a sudden I hear boom, 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 boom on my door. And then I hear these huge, violent bangs on my door and then every door going into my office. Just bang, bang. Oh, shoot, see, look, I'm banging it over again. Bang, 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 bang. Like someone was trying to break the door down. And there was no voices. There were no yells, no one saying who they were, nobody identifying themselves, and just boom, boom, boom. And I just get up like this and I run over to the legislative office and I run over to G. And G just looks at me back and he just goes, hide, hide, run and hide. And so I run back into my office. I slam my door. There's another kind of like back area to my office, and I open it, and there's a closet and a bathroom, and I jump into my bathroom, and I close the door, and I just keep hearing these bang, 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 and I jump into my bathroom and I close the door, and then I realize that the bathroom was the wrong choice. I should have jumped into the closet, and so I start opening the door to the bathroom so that I can, oh, sorry, you guys can't hear me. So I hear these bang, bang, bangs, and I start opening the door to my office, and I start opening the door to my bathroom, and I'm gonna run across to the closet. And sorry, you guys said I'm muffled, so let me repeat this part a little bit over again. Sorry, this is a little hard to hear, guys. I'm trying to, as you know, my phone keeps falling. And so basically I go into the back and there's a bathroom and then there's a closet. And I jump into the bathroom and I immediately realized that I shouldn't have gone into the bathroom. I should have jumped in the closet. And so I I open the door when all of a sudden I hear that whoever was trying to get inside got into my office. And then I realized that it's too late. That it's too late for me to get into the closet. And so I tried to I go back in and I hide back in the bathroom behind the door. And then I just start to hear these yells of, "Where is she? Where is she?" And I just thought to myself, they got inside. And so I hide behind my door like this, like I'm here, and the bathroom door starts going like this, like the bathroom door is behind me, or rather in front of me, and I'm like this, and the door hinges right here, and I just hear, "Where is she? Where is she?" And this was the moment where I thought everything was over. And the weird thing about moments like these is that you lose all sense of time. In retrospect, maybe it was 4 seconds, maybe it was 5 seconds, maybe it was 10 seconds, maybe it was 1 second, I don't know. It felt like my brain was able to have so many thoughts in that moment, between these screams and these yells of, "Where is she? Where is she?"
That's extra horrifying because, like, I think they probably would have killed her. I think, like, they already stated they were out to find her. They wanted to hurt her, and like she has been public enemy number 1 for a while. So that would have been absolutely terrifying.
And so I go down and I thought I was going to die. And I had a lot of thoughts. You have a lot of thoughts, I think, when you're in a situation like that. And like also one of those thoughts that I had was, I just happened to, be a spiritual person and be raised in that context. And I really just felt like, if this is the plan for me, then people will be able to take it from here. I had a lot of thoughts, but that was the thought that I had about you all. I felt that if this was the journey that my life was taking, that I felt that things were going to be okay. And that, I had fulfilled my purpose. Anyways, sorry guys. So anyways, as I'm hiding in this bathroom, hearing these yells of these men, or just a man, just one man going, "Where is she? Where is she?" I start to look through the door hinge to see if I can see anything. And there's like a door here and there's like another door here. So I'm like trying to look through 2 door hinges. And so I look through this door hinge and I see this white man in a black beanie just like open the door of my personal office and come inside the personal office and yell again, "Where is she?" And I have never been quieter in my entire life. I was just, I don't even know if I held my breath, but I was just, here behind there, and I just start sliding down. And then all of a sudden I hear my staffer G yell out. And he's like, hey, it's okay. Come out. Come out. So I'm like, I don't know, so deeply rattled. I'm still processing the end of my life when I come out. And I come out, and this man is a Capitol Police officer. But the story doesn't end. It's a Capitol Police officer. There was no partner, was not yelling, Capitol Police, etc., etc. But then it didn't feel right. Because he was looking at me with a tremendous amount of anger and hostility. And things weren't adding up. Like, there was no partner there. And no one was yelling. He wasn't yelling like, this is Capitol Police, this is Capitol Police. And he was looking at me in all of this anger and hostility. And at first, in my brain and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I just came from this super intense experience just now. Maybe I'm reading into this, right? Like, maybe I'm projecting, like something onto him that like, maybe I'm just seeing anger, but maybe he's not trying to be angry. But I talked to G, my legislative director, after the fact, and he said, no, I didn't know if he was there to help us or hurt us either. And G was actually like, this man came with so much hostility that G was sizing him up and didn't know if he was going to have to fight him. Like, that is how like aggressive the situation was in that moment. And we couldn't even tell, we couldn't read if like this was a good situation or a bad situation. It was so like, like so many other communities in this country, like just that presence doesn't necessarily give you a clear signal if you're safe or not. And so the situation did not feel okay. And then he just looks at me and yells at me, and he just go down and then go to this other building. I'm not gonna like name the specific building, but he basically says, go down and go to this building. But he just says the name of the building, doesn't say anything else. But we're so rattled in that moment. And the situation felt so volatile with this officer that I run over, I grab my bag, and we just start running over to that building. We were there, and I stayed in Ayana's office, and Katie was there, and I told Ayana what had happened to me in my office. And I didn't realize, because I was like at that 10, and like being so intense in Katie's office, that in all those hours we were barricaded together, I actually never at any point said out loud to her what had happened. And so I was just like in Katie's office, like at a 10, like, where are the closets? What's the exit thing? Shut the curtains, close the lights, like all this other stuff. Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't until she was there and I was telling the story to Ayana that I realized that I hadn't even told it to Katie. And then Katie was like, oh, this is why you were at a 10. And so we stayed in Ayana's office, and we were there until about 4:00 in the morning. There's other details too. I'm just like not ready for that right now. But yeah, and I stayed with Ayana, and it was when I told the story to Representative Presley, she told me right away, like, that what you experienced was traumatizing.
Yeah. And
you need to take care of yourself. And it was like having her as a friend and a sister hear what I was saying and tell me that mentally, it forced me to pump my brakes and be like, oh. So, you know, I think it was so important. And I think for so many people out there, if you have experienced any sort of trauma, like just the fact of like recognizing that and admitting it is already a huge step. Especially in a world where people are constantly trying to tell you that you didn't experience what you experienced, or that you're lying, or that, you know, those are additional traumas on top of what you've already experienced, right? If you are a survivor of abuse,
But great news, you know, leftist Twitter was just open arms and welcoming to this story. Yeah, there was absolutely no accusations of this whole thing just being grandstanding, or she was just doing it to be emotionally manipulative, or, you know, basically victim blaming. Didn't happen at all. Everyone was like, wow, harrowing story. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being brave enough to share that on Instagram Live in front of, you know, tens of thousands of people.
And this is at a point where it's not about the difference of, this is not about a difference of political opinion. This is about just like basic humanity. And that's what these people don't get, because they have shown that, you know, we knew that violence was expected on the 6th. We knew that violence was predicated on someone telling the lie, the big lie about our elections. We knew all of this in advance. We knew that violence was planned for the 6th. We knew that violence depended on the lie, on someone upholding the lie that our elections were fraudulent. True. Lies that Republican secretaries of state said were a lie. Republicans had said it was a lie. Republican governors had said it was a lie, you know, etc. So we knew in advance that violence was planned. We knew that violence needed someone to tell the lie. And these senators, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, knew that it was the lie. And they knew that these violent people needed the lie. And they chose, because they thought it would be politically advantageous to them, they chose to tell the lie.
It's true, and like the lie that was propagated by so many huge figures, your Steven Crowders, your Tim Pools, the Quartering, you know, the list goes on and on, your Dave Rubins. It astounded me after the fact how all of a sudden every single one of them was like, well, I mean, I never asked for violence, and or either ignored what had happened, tried to say the whole thing was Antifa, tried to say the whole thing was something else, tried to distance themselves. Alex Jones has been distancing himself from this whole thing. Came out the other day that apparently he spent like tens of thousands of dollars so he could get a top speaking role on one of those like steal the vote rallies. Every single one of them was enabling this. I never got to the part, because I don't know where it was at, where AOC discloses that she is a sexual assault survivor. Her statement came as she described the trauma of hiding from a violent mob that stormed the Capitol last month. She also claims the Republicans are using the tactics of abusers by telling lawmakers to move on from the trauma. The New York Democrat, known by her initials AOC, has been lightning rod for conservatives. Like, I think she is definitely well within her right to say that her life was directly in danger. There's been numerous death threats against her. I think every single day, her life is in danger in some way. I'm a survivor of sexual assault, she said in an Instagram live video on Monday night, and I haven't told that many people in my life. The 31-year-old self-described democratic socialist disclosed little about her sexual assault ordeal, but said, when we go through trauma compounds upon each other. So it was obviously a harrowing story, to say the very least. Incredible hearing the first-hand account. I also haven't seen Katie Porter's take on this. So before I move through to Tim Pool and whatever the fuck he's trying to say, I want to hear Katie Porter.
You know just how deep Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez's fears were at that time.
Well, at first she saw me, and we waved. I went into my office, and a couple seconds later she knocked, and she said, could we come in? And I said, of course. And she began to, her staffer was trying to describe what had happened. And Alex is really usually like unfailingly polite and very personable. And she wasn't even really talking to me. She was opening up doors. And I was like, can I help you? Like, what are you looking for? And she said, I'm looking for where I'm going to hide. And the thing that will always stay with me, the two memories that really, especially as a mom, I think were just really powerful for me, was when she said, I was saying, well, don't worry. I'm a mom. I'm calm. I've got everything here we need. We could live for like a month in this office. And she said, I just hope I get to be a mom. I hope I don't die today. And the second thing is she was wearing heels. And I remember her saying to me, I was wearing flats. And I remember her saying to me, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels. How am I going to run? And we went and we found her a pair of sneakers to wear from one of my staffers, so that she could run if she needed to literally run for her life.
Wow. That's really intense. I think, like, obviously there's a huge problem with cult of personalities. I've said before, try not to form cult of personalities. A couple years ago, everyone was doing it to Greta Thunberg, saying that she was like literally Jesus walking upon the waters and stuff like that. There's no question about that you shouldn't do that. Resist the urge to turn AOC into a deity of some kind. That being said, on the opposite end, if someone is given their survivor story, it doesn't matter if they're enormously popular. It doesn't matter if there's like 100,000 people watching them live on Instagram. It doesn't matter if they the story is going to reverberate in NBC and stuff like that. It's not the opportunity to twist someone's revelation that they're a survivor of sexual abuse and they thought they were going to die during the Capitol Hill riots, which is, in my opinion, very, very apt to say. Like, I think their lives were in danger, to say the very least. But to take that and then twist it into something else, like, it's the kind of stuff I would expect from, the Tim Pool corners of the internet. Ocasio-Cortez is one of the best PR people I've ever seen. Her ability to control the narrative and shift the focus to herself is unrivaled. She has conservatives wrapped around her finger. She's telling the story of how she was both sexually abused and thought she was going to die. I think it's okay for her to shift the focus of the story on herself if that's what she's talking about. But anyways, that's awful. Who was the worst on the internet? I think it may have been Michael Tracy. I have to use incognito because he's blocked me. Our old friend. All right, let's see. Holy shit, he was just all in. All right, let's see this. I gotta scroll back a lot. So Michael Tracy, if you didn't know, likes to claim to be like a center-left, I would vote for Hillary kind of, pundit. At the end of the day, Michael Tracy, he was astounded when he lost thousands, and I do mean this, thousands upon thousands of followers during the great, right-wing / QAnon / Nazi purge that had happened to the internet collectively. And so it's no surprise to me that someone like Michael Tracy has a very right-wing to far-right following and likes to pander to them because, of course, they do pay his bills, right? Okay, let's start on here. At least the recent coup hysterics in the US have now an ongoing counter-example to illustrate their myopic idiocy. Trump's gone, the melodrama is no longer necessary, there's never any attempted coup, there was a brief interruption of a congressional activity, at no point did it come remotely close to overthrowing the government. For reference, a real coup is underway in Myanmar. The military may have arrested the country's political leadership and declared that they now have control of the government, but what has happened in Myanmar can truly be described as a coup until we now have some dazed tourists posing for weird selfies and a pair of scary plastic zip ties. It's snowing sideways, thanks a lot, Reddit. Just because the coup was unbelievably privileged, in the sense that, the people doing it, had no idea that they were ever going to face consequences for their actions. They're not used to that happening. They had zero, OPSEC. They were not hiding their faces. They weren't really doing much. And now they're just astounded that the very same, Instagram Live and D-Live streams they were using turned out to be evidence against them. That doesn't mean that wasn't what their purpose was. They were very clear when they were inside the Capitol building, screaming things like, we need to form a new government. We need to hang certain people. They brought zip ties. They brought pipe bombs. Just because the whole thing was horrifically executed, just because it was an amalgamation of just clown shoes antics, a handful of people literally falling into buildings, falling off the walls, a mix of people who may have wanted to do a coup, a mix of people who may have wanted to murder politicians, and a mix of people who were just there for the lulz, all getting mashed together. A mix of Proud Boys, Boogaloo Boys, 3%ers, Trump supporters, MAGA crowders, journalists, people who were just there to be part of what they thought was a meme. that doesn't change the fact that there was people in that group of those tens of thousands who were, yes, looking to overthrow the United States government by halting a democratic process. Whenever liberals acquire power, their supporters in the media make sure to incessantly hype cartoonish right-wing fringe figures in order to deflect what liberals are actually doing with their newly acquired power. Marjorie Taylor Greene is just Michelle Bachmann 2.0. Another caller for chat, overflowing with the hottest of takes. Isn't anyone in DC in Paris? They have a scary-looking barbed wire fence surrounding the Capitol that nothing's happened for almost a month. Apparently not. Plot twist. AOC is very clear. I was going to die. AOC is breaking down in tears, talking about the state of mind when she thought she might die. I'd fulfilled my purpose. She says that a man turned out to be the Capitol police officer, but he was looking at her with anger and hostility. I believe that. Good to know that any loopy delusion expounded by a politician must now be respected and believed under the aegis of trauma. This is a masterclass in emotional manipulation, a genuine political rhetorical skill. Gotta hand it to her. So this seems to be the sentiment amongst the right now, that this was just her doing a PR stunt. People in the media are the biggest ever suckers for emotionally manipulative political rhetoric when the rhetoric happens to align with their niche cultural sensibilities. Also love attacking in vicious personal terms anyone who skeptically evaluates the rhetoric of a political figure they consider to be a member of their cultural cohort. If experience tells me anything, historical raging Twitter mobs are outlandishly wrong 99% of the time, so keep it coming, motherfuckers. Lunatics, LOL. I mean, this isn't just Michael Tracy's sentiment, by the way. I think Peter Coffin was tweeting out, AOC is insane, AOC is insane. Angie Speaks, tweeted out a picture of Ren crying. If you don't fawn over AOC's every word, Twitter regards it as so astounding that they'll make it into editorializing customized trending topics. Impressive. For all those lashing out in deliberate bad faith, I wasn't specifically referring to her sexual assault claim here, but rather to the entire interweaving presentation. Oh, all right, my mistake. Okay, well, there you go. You weren't saying the sexual assault was emotional manipulation. You were saying that the trauma and PTSD that she was describing that she'd experienced, conflating that with the fact that she had experienced sexual assault at one point in her life, that was emotional manipulation. Gotcha. Good save. No, good save. Invoking trauma automatically mandates accepting a politician's incendiary claims at face value. She invoked her alleged sexual assault in order to shame and abuse those who don't uncritically affirm her historic account of what happened at the Capitol. If you don't see the manipulativeness inherent in that rhetorical tactic, you are delusional. Cool. Still shaming. One of the weirdest aspects of this fear is the idea that I can bully a member of Congress with a massive platform simply by choosing not to regurgitate her trauma. No, that's not what they're saying. A cottage industry of incredibly bored journalists. Great. Anyways, Michael Tracy's shitty. Oh yes, I forgot. We have Glenn Greenwald as well, giving fantastic takes on the Jimmy Dore show of all places. I understand. Makes sense.
This week has been like the most amazing week of having the left and the right unite against Wall Street. Almost everybody across the spectrum supports what those Redditors are doing and is thrilled to see these hedge fund leeches suffering. And it has it's created a major opportunity to regulate, to legislate, to reform. And Ted Cruz, whatever you think of him, reached out by saying, I agree with AOC about this. So that was an opportunity for right and left to join together to do something that supposedly her main reason for existing as a political figure, which is fighting income inequality, and instead...
Ted Cruz is a conspiracy theorist who is promoting a conspiracy theory about the president having the election stolen from him that led to the insurrection on the Capitol that wound up having multiple people dead, including a police officer, and AOC has within her right the ability to describe that she was fearing for her life because they were screaming to murder her, So... I wouldn't want to work with Ted Cruz. I mean, I wouldn't want to work with Ted Cruz in the best of times. Not during the period where Ted Cruz has, again, come out and been promoting conspiracy theories that led to the insurrection at the Capitol.
Turns around and says, fuck you, I don't want to work with you. You guys got me murdered. You're a white supremacist. And suddenly the two camps divide again. And over here you have the red team and over here you have the blue team cheering like morons at a fucking high school football game again because she ruined that movement because all she wants to do is attack Republicans and fortify the Democratic Party. That is what the left has become, and they know it. And that's why all that's left for them to do is do things like talk about your personality and occasionally mine.
It is stunning to see AOC turn into Adam Schiff. It is stunning to me to see her just totally focus all her ire. And it started for me.
Disturbing breaking news. A Texas man who participated in the Capitol riot is now charged with threatening to assassinate Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. These charges coming as the investigation into the deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol.
I had a very close encounter where I thought I was going to die. It is not an exaggeration to say that many, many members of the House were nearly assassinated. It's just not an exaggeration to say that at all. We were very lucky that things happened within certain minutes that allowed members to escape the House floor unharmed.
Like, the thing that just, it pisses me off about this idea that this is something that should be thought of as political opportunism. If AOC is pushing for something that you can directly relate this to, like is AOC pushing for the Patriot Act Part 2 right now as a result of this, then okay, Glenn Greenwald, Jimmy Dore, you have yourselves a story. If it's just that, oh, this is political opportunism and why is she taking this away from us? And why won't she work with Ted Cruz? I want her to work with Ted Cruz. Can we not reach across the aisle? Has that not happened? I mean, the same man who is normalizing that we should be having, you know, a leftist alliance with the Boogaloo Boys, a far-right organization. I do not think that we should be working with the fash. I think that's a pretty easy leftist position to take, and has been one for some time in this respect. I really don't understand Jimmy Dore's strategy going forward here. Like, at the end of the day, is AOC a politician? Yes. Is she a politician that is working within the mechanisms of the Democratic Party? Yes. Is she a savior? No. Is she like trying to bring and usher in a new age of communism? No, she's not. She's not any of those things. So if someone's telling you their survivor story, that's it. That's what it should be. It should be about the survivor story. She should be explaining it. And this is something that everyone should be taking seriously, because most people, especially like, you know, someone like myself who's kind of like dedicated the last part of my career to this, has been telling you about not just stochastic terrorism in general, but this general undercurrent of normalizing all these kind of hate crimes. Like, once Donald Trump came into power, all this stuff started to skyrocket. We had anti-Semitic attacks on the rise. Right now, we have, anti-discriminatory attacks against Asian Americans on the rise. There has been a rise in hate crimes towards Black Americans. All these things are being brought to the surface. There's been a decided pushback against things like, say, the Black Lives Matter movement, with individuals who are trying to say that, hey, this whole thing is exaggerated, you know, blah, blah, blah. We should try to return to normalcy. Let's just work now and reach across the aisle. Now's the time for us to reach across. Why isn't AOC working with Ted Cruz? Well, I'm sorry. If I was AOC, I would never want to work with Ted Cruz. Someone who is pushing these conspiracy theories, someone who is galvanizing and energizing people into being like afraid or angry at me to the point where they actually want to hurt me. Like, it got to that point. Like, I'm sorry, shit got too far. Like, your Steven Crowders, your Dave Rubins, your Tim Pools, your Michael Tracy's, all these people have been pushing all this fear-mongering over and over and over. And yes, it rose to a part where the whole thing was accelerated by the President of the United States, galvanizing them, telling them, hey, everyone, the election was stolen. It was stolen. Your democracy is stolen. You got to take it back right now. Today's the day. Everyone, January 6th, storm the Capitol. Let's do this. Let's take it back. And in the process, there are people there who, yes, wanted to assassinate AOC. Are you just going to turn your backs on all that? Like, is that the strategy going forward? Is it just to ignore that? Because that's what they'd like. That's what Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, all of them, they're just now acting like, well, we weren't the ones who actually made them do that, all right? Those were some bad apples. They took it too far. They took it way too far. They shouldn't have done that. Meanwhile, I'm going to get back to telling you about all the reasons why big tech is basically trying to destroy society as we know it. There's so many things that we can criticize big tech for. There's so many things that we agree upon. Like, I agree with the fact that I don't want another Patriot Act as a result of any of this happening. I agree with the fact that big tech has basically monetize the social interactions which we have, and we should be breaking those companies up. That should be a conversation we should have. Can we break up these companies, turn them into smaller companies, and or get government intervention to take public ownership of these companies? Those are very good discussions and important ones to have, but we're not going to be able to have those talks as long as one half of, I guess, progressive media, whatever you want to call it, is mocking a victim. Is mocking a survivor story. As long as people are coming forward and being like, yeah, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to cry me a river, AOC. This is just political opportunism. That's what's happening here. You're just trying to steal the spotlight for yourself, taking it away from the issues that matter right now, which is my issue. Mine. I want to talk about the things that matter to me. I want to talk about what's important to good old Jimmy Dore, good old Glenn Greenwald, good old Michael Tracy. We're gonna align ourselves, and at the same time, the Boogaloo Boys are our allies, and the Squad and people like that are traitors to the cause, and they're the ones destroying your lives at the end of the day. It's scapegoating. It's scapegoating all around. It's scapegoating, and it's meant to distract us. I don't think for a second that Jimmy Dore, like some people like to suggest, is working as some insider. I do not think that. I just think if what you're doing is ultimately resulting in the same actions, if you're basically doing that work, Cruz's version of Wall Street reform is unbridled capitalism. Yeah. That's the thing too, by the way. Cruz isn't a good guy looking to align with AOC on this topic to do good work. Like, Cruz is a fucking neoliberal stooge. He's a Canadian who wants to upend American politics. Like, holy shit, delusional. If you want us to advertise your channel or work, please go to weareserfs.com and email us a 20 to 30 second ad, and we'll take it on to the end of one of our videos to help promote your leftist channel or progressive something. Whatever you do.
To our gods, I'm Raph, Xander Corvus, and Schlatsky. We shall build golden idols in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, you have our undying fealty. To our lords, Jeffrey Lamb, Trevor R., Hans Josephin, C. Bartlett, Jimothy K. Meeple Beeps Jr., Bisexual Black Gamer, and Trofox, we shall carry your banners onto the battlefield. To our Knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byte, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Political Puppy, Jimmy Bignuts, Andreas Chitoro, Good Poon Hates Cops, that's solid poon then, Dr. Zayas, Yoppie, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Thomas Barrington, J. Fraser Cartwright, Goofalankius, Melissa Murphy, Nicholas Marks, Alexander Thaler, Ali Rada Jafer, Alex Gauvin, Radical Maniac, The Great Pudini, and Callie Kotka. We salute you.